Well, I think, it probably doesn't help that he doesn't have a lot of experience playing right field. But you play that inning back. To me, it's, we're 2 innings of baseball, we're in a tie game. Yeah, you can't have that play. It's a leadoff single, and the guy standing at second base. But you get a guy 0-2, you can't hang a breaking ball. So it's just our inability tonight, plain and simple. I mean, I'm sitting there trying to talk to the team. I don't have it. I mean, what am I going to say? You give up 10 free passes, you're probably going to lose a baseball game. So I don't even think it's honestly as technical as that. It's just you give 10 free bases. Good luck to you trying to win, and that's where I'm just a little upset with this one.
What did you think it was tonight that kind of got away from the team a little bit at the end?
Oh, I don't think it was just at the end. I mean, I think it was all the way through. You got we walk 9, walk 10. I don't know. I think it's a great lesson. It's a great lesson for our team because we're not going to. I hope we do. We're not going to hit it around, all like we did all last weekend. And that's what I said. I said, this thing, you're going to win championships. You're going to be in a position to win most of the time if you pitch and play defense. And if you go back and you look at our losses up to this point in the season, very rarely. And I don't want to take anything. Stan does it. It's a great UNLV team. He does a great job with those guys. And not saying they didn't beat us, but if you go back and look at our losses this year, you could probably pinpoint it to one thing: our inability to throw strikes. And so when you do that, it makes it very, very difficult to win. And we've got to grasp that because we're not going to out-hit and whatever it was, the lopsided hitting this weekend. That's not going to happen, not in this conference. So we've got to get that stuff straight on the mound. We've got to get more consistent on the mound. And I don't mind the kid's 3-run homer in the 3rd inning. I mind the 2 walks before that. Make him do that.
Marsh looked like maybe you think he was a little tentative because they're such a good hitting team. What do you think was going? Because he had a few innings where he was.
I thought it was inconsistent.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. And it's interesting because, yeah, I mean it's a very good observation. He was very inconsistent, and we've got to grow up and understand that it shouldn't take you getting punched in the mouth before you decide you're going to get after it, and that's exactly it. His best fastballs came after the guy hit the home run. Could have had him before. Maybe we're not in that position. So that I would say is some of the inexperience of not being out there. We just got to get better at that. We did not. We didn't play mature baseball at all, and especially on the mound tonight.
You came out in the 8th and I thought maybe you were going to make a pitching change there before Isbell hit in the 8th, and you didn't. You left Dylan out there.
Yeah.
What was kind of the thinking there?
I went out to set the defense, basically what we were doing from a defensive standpoint. I felt like he was still throwing the baseball okay, but just went out there to set the defense. We had our reliever ready for the next hitter.
It seemed like in that at bat to Isabel, he got ahead and like the 0-2 pitch. What did you think of that at bat that he threw against a tough hitter like that? Huh?
Well, it's funny. I mean, you go into this. We literally go in. He's a great player. Kyle Isbell is a great player, one of the better players in the country, and you go into it with a strategic game plan of saying any position we're in, we're not going to let that kid beat us. And then you look at the box score; he's got 4 RBI on the night. It's not very good execution. So, I mean, I guess I would ask a rhetorical question. How do you think that pitch went? So we just didn't do a good job of the ball tonight. We didn't.
You guys did a pretty good job against a pretty good Oregon team this past weekend. What's the message going to be this weekend against another good Pac-12 team in UCLA?
Well, we've got to find more guys. The consistency. Baseball is about consistency, so you got to find more of the consistency. And again, if I'm sitting here looking at a box score where you give up 10 runs and you get out hit 10, 12 hits against you, then you can. You're not happy that you lost. You're angry that you lost, but you can go, what? You know what? They beat us. So We have got to get more consistent in throwing it over the plate. Let's see what they do, particularly in the midweek stuff. And that goes back to what I said on the weekends. We got to find one or two more guys that develop through this process, so we don't have to continue to go to the same guys over the time, because it's going to wear down over the season. So that's what we need to do, is get more consistent throwing strikes.
Obviously, against Oregon, the bats were kind of coming alive. Starting pitching was good. Do you feel like when this bullpen comes around, that's when you guys can really take off and become that like special team that you've talked about?
Well, it's all centers on the ball. I mean, and so when you're doing that, because you can, it's the flow of the game too. You feel the flow of the game, but you know, you don't want that to affect it. But when it's walk, that I know how I feel as a casual fan. If I go to the game, it puts me to sleep. Same thing happens to a team. So it all starts on the mound, and until that happens, until some guys grow up, until some guys, we find those roles, and and there may be, maybe we're looking at the wrong guys. Maybe we need to try some other guys, which at this point that's a possibility. So until that happens, to me it's hard to get in any sort of rhythm, because it sucks the life out of the game, and we'll see. The good part about that, we're 3-0 now, rolling over to UCLA. You don't like coming off of a loss, but I feel good about our starters. We got to get a little bit more depth in the bullpen piece of it, but you know what? We're 3-0 rolling into a great UCLA team this year. We're looking forward to that. I will say this, guys are confident. I don't think anybody's lost any confidence. Just guys are a little frustrated because, as I said, you'd rather see a 500-foot home run than 10 walks. So.
For the most part, Fitz Stadler's had some inconsistencies, but he was a guy that did do well tonight. He had one walk, but he struck out 4, including striking out the side. What did you see from him tonight?
And the good part about him, I'll tell you, the best part was going, take the ball in, which I did, took the ball out. He's bigger than me, so I have to be real careful how I said it. But he wanted to stay in there, which was a good sign. It's a step in the right direction. So he was a positive, and we're going to need Fitz, down the stretch for sure. So that was a good thing. And and again, outside of Marsh, kind of throttle on, throttle off, the inconsistency, I thought he was somewhat effective. And maybe he's not going to grow at the pace that we want him to, but he's still growing. And I still feel the combination is in there. It's the midweek stuff that we're looking to develop and get some of those roles filled, but yet, so unfortunately for us, the result is very similar. And but right now, I guess I gotta be angry here for about another hour. I need to shift my focus to UCLA. We can't worry about this one, but I feel good. We're going to roll San Romero out there on Friday and give us a chance to win again at UCLA.
You've mentioned that you're still looking for a few pitchers to kind of seize that 7-man role. Do you think Stadler can kind of fit into that?
Oh yeah, he already does. I mean, and it was I thought we pitched it well enough this past weekend. We didn't have to use him, and the games were kind of such a way that we didn't have to use him. And the plan was, if we were in a position to hold him out, and give us the best chance to beat a good UNLV team on today. But it just, but again, I liked what I saw out of him. He was very aggressive in the strike zone tonight.
I know the offense wasn't exactly the focus tonight, but Carter, you had asked to see more consistent at-bats out of Carter already, and he's now driven in a run in 4 consecutive games. What have you seen change in him recently?
Well, I mean, he's gonna have guys on base, because those guys ahead of him seem to be getting on base a lot. But we're gonna need him. I mean, he's a proven hitter at this level, but we're gonna need him to continue doing what he's doing. But he's getting pitches to hit in crucial situations and delivering, and that's what we expect out of him. And it's not going to happen every time, but you look for the consistency piece, and I think his intent is good when he goes to the plate.
Speaking of consistencies, this past weekend you had games where you were winning with 18 runs. Then tonight you're in tie game 3-3, and 9 guys are left on base. This far in the season, is that a concern that your lineup can't seem to keep staying consistent?
No, because I don't think we're going to score 18 runs every game. You look at the at bats. It's how baseball is. I mean, you can hit the heck out of it and not get a positive result. But to think that we're gonna score, 10 runs a game, every single game is unrealistic. But we're in that, it's a tie ball game, you're at home, it's a tie ball game through 7, you're in position to win a game, and then to go out there and basically hand it to an opponent is my frustration. I'm not, because that has an effect, believe it or not, on everybody in that dugout. And, you go out there, you throw strikes, you do your stuff, you're gonna carry some momentum into the dugout offensively. I would argue that probably impacts, shouldn't, but it does. How your guys and your kids' energy level approach that. So, no, I mean, I'm not concerned about it. We've got a good offensive club, and we're going to do our fair share of hitting this year. I do believe that.